The honourable member from Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, more bad news from experts. New Stats Can data shows that per person GDP is shrinking again. For the 8th time in the last 9 quarters, Canadians are getting poorer. This is a made-in-Canada per capita recession that's lasted 2 years, caused by a government that's driven out investment by hiking taxes on everything: income, financial institutions, housing, fuel, and investment. The opposite is happening elsewhere. Yesterday, the U.S. Commerce Department said the U.S. economy grew at 2.8% last quarter. Will the government admit that this is a made-in-Canada per capita recession?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, it seems that Conservatives can't see past their own doomsday narrative. Canada leads the G7 in reaching a soft landing in the global post-pandemic surge in inflation and highest interest rates. The first G7 country to cut interest rates not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in a row. This is good news for homeowners who currently have mortgages that need renewal and for first-time homebuyers. Inflation has fallen to 1.6% in September, marking 9 consecutive months within the Bank of Canada's target range. I count that as good news for Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, here's another expert from the Bank of Canada, Deputy Governor Carolyn Rogers. On March 24th, she issued a stark warning. She said Canada is falling behind other countries because of weak business investment, a lack of competition, and a failure to integrate immigrants into the workforce, all responsibilities of this government. She said, and I quote, "I'm saying that it's an emergency. It's time to break the glass." Simple question. Does the government agree with the Bank of Canada that we are in an economic emergency of their making?
Yeah.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Innovation.
Canada Governor has also reported numerous times that our government has stuck to its fiscal guardrails, which through that discipline has allowed for inflation to drop in this country. The IMF also, in their World Economic Outlook, projects Canada to have the highest growth in the G7 in 2025. Wages in Canada have outpaced inflation for 20 months in a row. For Canadians, that means more jobs, better wages, and a higher living standard. We should be positive, and I will never apologize for being positive about the future of this country.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member from Durham.
New data from StatsCan confirms a made-in-Canada GDP recession. Over 8 of the last 9 quarters, per capita GDP is in decline. To put that in practical terms, Mr. Speaker, the average American now earns $20,000 more than the average Canadian. The root cause is the Prime Minister's tax hikes. When will the Prime Minister axe the tax hikes that are making Canadians poorer?
Great question.
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell something that the Conservative they want to acknowledge. The root cause of our success, Mr. Speaker, is our Canadian workers, Mr. Speaker. We have attracted record level of investment in this country. These people are reading, I don't know what. Talk to Volkswagen, talk to Honda, talk to Dow Chemical, Mr. Speaker.
Order. The honourable member from South Shore, St. Margaret's, please. I'm going to invite the honourable minister to start again. The honourable minister.
Speaker, I will always stand up in this House to talk about good news about Canada, Mr. Speaker. Exactly. Canadians should be cheering. This is the land of possibility, of opportunities. We have attracted record level of investment, Mr. Speaker, in this country. Just talk to the CEO of Honda, of Volkswagen, of Dow Chemical, of Northvolt. People are investing in this country because they believe in our workers. We have the best workers in the world. We have the critical minerals. We have the energy. We have the access to market. We have what we need to win in the 21st century, Mr. Speaker.
Before I return the floor to the honourable member from Durham, I'm going to ask for the second time the honourable member from the South Shore, St. Margaret's, to please not take the floor unless recognized by the chair. The honourable member from Durham.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals across the aisle may be having a party or some kind of celebration, it seems, but in the process, they are cutting the standard of living in Canada. They are slashing the quality of life for people in our country. It's their tax hikes, their increases in the capital gains tax, housing tax, carbon tax that are making life difficult for Canadians across our country. When will they accept some responsibility for what's happened for the last 9 years and axe the tax hikes that are making Canadians poorer?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Leader of the Government in the House.
Talk about celebrations. 10 years ago today, former Conservative MP Dean Del Mastro was found guilty, Mr. Speaker, of violating the Elections Act. That was the leader of the Conservatives' buddy at the time, Mr. Speaker. He actually went on to become the Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister, and the Parliamentary Secretary at the time was the leader of the Conservative Party, who was advanced to become the Minister responsible for elections. He tried to delete thousands of Canadians from being able to vote, Mr. Speaker. Why should any Canadian have confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party, Mr. Speaker?
The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, let's be serious. We all know that this government is costing Canadians a lot of money, but now StatsCan is proving it. The last numbers show that per capita GDP has dropped 8 times over the last 9 quarters. What does that mean? That means that GDP has gone up barely by 1% this quarter. In the United States, it's up 3%. The Americans are 3 times luckier than Canadians because of this government. Will the government finally understand that increasing taxes doesn't help Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So on Halloween, my esteemed colleague that I respect a lot can invent as many numbers as he wants. It's not going to work. What he can do is ask his colleague who's sitting right next to him, the member for Brantford-Brant, to rise at least one time in this House to apologize for his words about French last week. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. The member knows very well that he apologized, Mr. Speaker. What's the reality here? The reality is that it's time to put the focus on the economic reality. And if this university professor was attentive to reality, then he would see what StatsCan has put forward and that it's real. And even The Economist, I'm sure he's familiar with The Economist. He's probably read at least once in his life. The Economist concluded that Canada is now lower than Alabama, the poorest state in the United States. Is he proud of his record? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Well, let's talk about 3 realities. Economic reality, interest rates are down, inflation is down, unemployment is down. Let's talk about the reality that the Conservative leader still doesn't understand on Halloween. It's that the Canada Dental Care Plan exists. It hasn't magically disappeared. Third reality, it's that the member for Brantford-Brant has still not apologized in this House.